I got this one right. I tweeted out, I don't know if you can find it, Adam, that I was taking the Florida Gators to win the NCAA tournament. I watched them play a lot this year, but in particular, I was courtside for the Tennessee-Florida game. I was there with my 10-year-old. I was worried that he was going to spill his nachos and they were going to scatter out onto the court in the middle of the this is a true story, that they were going to scatter out onto the court during the middle of the game. He wanted to go get nachos during halftime, my 10-year-old. So we're sitting there. I'm holding the nachos. He's eating out of them. And I'm thinking, oh, man, I don't want to have him suddenly spill the nachos out on the floor and they have to stop the game and clean up everything. But I was watching the Florida Gators. I said, I think Florida is the best team in the country. And look, Auburn had a phenomenal year. And Auburn was, I think, the best team in the SEC probably November, December, January, maybe even halfway into February. And then Florida caught and passed them. Beat them at Auburn, beat them again in the Final Four, won the SEC championship game, went on the road and won at Alabama. And that's why I picked Florida to win the tournament. I told you before when the brackets came out, I said Florida's my pick. I had them beating Tennessee instead of Houston. Houston played a phenomenal game. Maybe arguably should have won that game against Florida, but the Gators found a way to pull away late. They did a little bit to Houston, what Houston did to Duke. They won the latter part of that game, and as a result, they ended up, and here's my tweet, the SEC gets 14 teams in, setting an all-time record for any conference. Here's the full bracket. Who you got? I'm taking Florida to win it all. Adam, if you'll send me that link, I need to tweet that out to take credit for, I think at that time you could have gotten Florida at 4-1. Kelly Stewart, credit to her. She got Florida at 40-1 to win the NCAA tournament. Pretty incredible win by her at $1,000. I think she won $40K. A lot of you watch the fade that Kelly and I do every single day. Florida won. They out-physicaled Houston down the stretch run of the tournament. And as a result, I think you got to give credit to the Florida Gators. Look, arguably, Florida is the best men's athletic department in the 21st century. Some of you say, okay, what do you mean by that, Clay? Florida is the only team right now to have 3 national titles in football and 3 national titles in basketball. And 5 of those titles have happened in the 21st century. That is, they have won 2 football titles, and they have won 3 titles in basketball. All of them have happened in the 21st century. I think you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Florida, with Steve Spurrier, won the national title in 1996. I think I'm right. If I remember, 96 was Florida. 97 was the split between Nebraska and Michigan. 98 was Tennessee. And I believe back in 95 was Nebraska. That was the Tommy Frazier year when they absolutely dominated. 99, I think, was Florida State. It's funny, now that I have kids, you remember the title years and the teams when you were young, at least I do, way better than you do right now, typically, when you get into your 30s, 40s, and 50s. In other words, I can remember the teams that won when I was like 14 or 15 because it gets imprinted on your brain differently. I don't know how many others of you recognize that. But what you do when you're like 12 or 13 or 14 or 15, sometimes you remember way better than what happens when you're 32 or 42 or 52. And I've thought a lot about this with my own kids. I've tried to take them on the road to as many big sporting events as I can because I remember going to games when I was 11 or 12 or 13, 10, way better because you have fewer experiences, and I think it imprints on your brain differently. There's got to be science that supports that I'm right about this. I don't think I'm just crazy about it. I think that you would have fonder recollections and deeper memories from things like that than getting to do something cool when you're in your 20s or your 30s or your 40s or older. So with that in mind, I think Florida, if you're analyzing both football and men's basketball, which are the two sports that people care about the most, I would rank them as follows. In college athletics, I would say number one, the thing that people care about the most, football, right? College football. Number two, men's basketball. Number three, I still probably would say women's basketball. And then number four, I would say college baseball. Can be different, but I would say those in order are like your Mount Rushmore of college sports. Now, do people care about women's softball? Yes. Do people care about women's gymnastics? Yes. Track and field, swimming. They're all different sorts of sports out there. But I would feel pretty confident that football, men's basketball, women's basketball, and baseball would be the big four. And for the top two, that is college football and men's basketball, in the 21st century, I think you would have to say the Florida Gators are the best, most dominant team at the two sports that people care about the most in college football, college basketball in terms of winning championships. Indeed, they're the only team that has ever won 3 for men's basketball and also 3 for college football, and they've won 5 of those titles since the 21st century started. In fact, I don't even know who would be number 2 on that list. There are lots of schools that are very good at basketball historically. Duke, Indiana, Kentucky, Syracuse even. But for the most part, those schools are not very good. North Carolina, not very good at football and have never won titles there. There are schools that are phenomenal at football, like Alabama, Florida State historically. But typically, I know Alabama started to raise itself up lately. They haven't won a national championship in football and basketball. This is a good question for you, Adam. How many schools in the 21st century have won a national title in football and in men's basketball? So that's 5 that Florida has won in the 21st century, 3 basketball, 2 for college football. I'm trying to think just off the top of my head how many have won both in the 21st century. Has anybody else won both? Am I crazy? USC, obviously very good in football. And most of them, again, are very good at football or very good at basketball. Some are good at both, but if the teams that are good at both typically have not won either, I don't think – has anybody else done it? I mean, I'm running through in my head right now who've won all the football titles. Obviously, UConn is nowhere near anywhere good in football. Schools like LSU and Alabama that have won multiple national titles, Clemson, Florida State, they haven't won anything in basketball too. Louisville, am I right that Florida is the only one? Only Florida qualifies. That's Adam doing research on XAI. That would mean that my argument that Florida is the best men's athletic program in the 21st century has a lot of weight. 2 football titles in the 21st century, 3 basketball, 5 total. Nobody else in college athletics has won in the 21st century a football and a basketball national championship. So just factoring that in.